Welcome to the Department of Life Sciences podcast for Women at Imperial Week 2026. International Women's Day 2026 centres on the theme Give to Gain, the idea that progress happens when we intentionally give respect, voice, care, knowledge, opportunities, and resources to others. In a university community, that giving doesn't only apply in lecture theatres or laboratories. It happens in offices, technical spaces, meetings, emails, and everyday interactions that keep the system running. We're bringing together voices from across the Department of Life Sciences, from administration, technical teams, research, and teaching, to reflect on what giving has meant in their working lives and what we can all gain when equity and support are shared responsibilities.
In this episode, we are joined by Claudia. Claudia, could you tell us a little bit about your role at Imperial and a fun fact or maybe part of the role that you find most rewarding?
Hi Josh, thanks for inviting me to this podcast. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Life Science at Imperial College London, and I lead a research group in bottom-up engineering biology. So basically what we do is building a synthetic minimal model system that have cell-like behaviors, and we use them with the aim to understand biology, but also looking at a more application, real-world application, like for example in medicine, bioremediation, and biosensing. What I like of this job is actually having the opportunity to translate this passion in bottom-up engineering biology, so this vision into actual reality. And I like also to share this passion with my research group. We are growing, so my research group is made by undergraduates, PhD, postdoc, and I like, discuss the science with them, sharing the passion and seeing this vision becoming reality through scientific outputs.
And what motivated you to pursue a career either in academia or in engineering biology?
Well, I have to say that I started very early to have my, scientific dreams. I decided at the age of 14 years old to become a scientist. So I was crazy enough to dream that in early stages. And what drive me is basically I always liked science, or basically the curiosity that is behind our everyday. So I always enjoyed the studies, but I didn't know that a career in science actually exists. So what my early years dreams was more becoming something that was scientifically correlated. For example, I wanted to become a doctor that applies science to, real world uses. But this because I didn't know that scientist was actually a career. So when I was 13 years old and I had to choose what high school to attend, I was speaking with a doctor and I asked the doctor what was like being a doctor. And they told me that you have constantly, to see people suffering. So I realized, okay, probably doesn't fit my personality as I'm an emotional sponge. So if someone is happy around me, I'm happy. Someone is sad, I'm suddenly sad. So and what this doctor told me is something that completely opened my horizon. He told me, well, you can be the scientist that does the research and help the doctor to create new medicine. And so this completely opened my mind, and I was immediately fascinated about a career in science for this reason. So I started to look for more information about university courses and so on. And then at the age of 14, I was clear that I was going to be a scientist. And so I took that path, and what I liked the most was physical chemistry, biochemistry. So I was already entering with bottom-up engineering biology without knowing the existence of engineering biology again. And then I started my career as a physical chemistry, polymer chemistry, and then basically what I was doing, particularly in my PhD, was creating polymers, and with that I was making synthetic vesicle with biomimic functionalities. So I was working in bottom-up engineering biology before even realizing it.
Nice. It's really good to hear that you had those passions from such a young age.
But this is also why it's important to speak with young people, because they don't know what there is out there. They are in their own world. So that it's very important, this communication between science and high school, but also primary school, earlier than that, because then you showcase all the different options that they have in hands, and they don't know it. They don't realize it until they actually see those, role model speaking to them.
I think that's really nice and leads me on to the next question I have, which is International Women's Day this year has this theme of give to gain. And I wonder, when you hear this theme, what does it mean to you in the context of your work?
I think it has a great meaning because, for example, knowing my experience, I always give time to outreach activity, to interact, particularly women and young girls, and show them that a career in a male-based field, like could be science, for example. Now things are changing, but we are not still there yet. We don't have a 50 female and 50 male. So I think this is my way to give back. So knowing by my experience, I can tell that it is important, showcasing what you are doing, and communication is part of this science. But at the same time, at the beginning, when I heard give and gain, this could have also different meanings. So, for example, for me, give is a synonym of care. So if you care about something, you give something, right? You give your time, you give your energies, this to project, for example, working on something, but also to people. I have my own research group, so I always give them my time, I give them my priority at work and so on. But what not always like, and this is my personal point of view, I don't like that give need to be necessarily combined with gain, because giving does not mean like you do it because you care and not because you have an interest. That is not anymore giving, that is pretending. So I give you something because I'm expecting something back. So I think that the two meaning need to be separated. I think that focusing more in the give should be much more of a priority than focusing in the gain. And this is in a scientific community point of view, but also in our society.
I think what you're highlighting is don't give with the expectation to receive. And thinking about at any point in your career, is there another period you can share that somebody gave you support that made a real difference to where you are today?
I think that I've been so far lucky enough to have found many people that were happy to give support, and that was fundamental. So it's very important, personally, also professionally, to find your supporting bubble. Life, personal and professional, is not always easy, and has its challenges, particularly in early stage of the career, where, for example, the contract is not permanent, so you are constantly forced to think if that is your future or you should focus on something else. So, and having these people that are always happy to talk with you, to find the time to arrange a meeting, to give you the support in a way that they give you advice, to clearly see what you are missing, for example, to achieve the next step in your career. I think this is very fundamental. And to be honest, I always said, I don't have a specific example, but I have many examples, a full list of people to name that really change my trajectory in a way that they change my motivation from being frustrated about not getting a position to being fully motivated after 1 hour meeting. So I really recommend everyone to find this supporting bubble and to choose carefully the supporting bubble, because you really need them.
I wondered then, in your own research group, how do you try and foster some of those values?
So I'm deeply committed to my research group. So what I tell them is that they have my highest priority. Of course, time to time, I'm extremely busy and I cannot arrange a meeting, for example, one day. But I'm always sure that, for example, scheduled meetings are constantly on track on the calendar. And I really put a big effort in installing a healthy research culture in the group where everyone is listen. There is an open communication. I think my characteristic is that I always try to be honest. So, for example, when they do great, I tell them that they are really doing really great and encourage them to continue. But at the same time, when they go off track, I have still an honest approach and try to make them realize, giving reasons why, and talking with them to make them understanding what went wrong and how could be done better. So I really put in a big effort in the mentoring, and my success as a PI depends also on their success in their career. So I want to see them succeeding, and I really hope that they are able to see this, caring, giving attitude that I have towards them.
Sounds like having open communication that's honest in both directions is really, really important. And kind of developing that a little bit further, the next question is really thinking about a younger version of yourself. I'd really like to hear about what type of advice would you give yourself?
I think that the advice that I have for the past myself is the same that I repeat to myself right now. Is I will tell myself to continue to trust to yourself, to your capabilities, and also fight for what you really want. There will be people that will always support you and people that will never support you. And this is the reality of things. It doesn't depend on you. It's how things are. And just keep going, and everything, will go well.
That's fantastic advice. So my last question then is a bit more speculative. If powers that be in the department, or even broader, if we're thinking the faculty or Imperial or even academia as a whole, what's maybe something that you might change considering this theme of give to gain?
This is a tough question. So I have to say, probably, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm still early career researcher or a young PI. But in my perspective, or what I'm experiencing, Imperial, and I'm not speaking just because I'm part of it, but I think Imperial is doing great in installing a very nice research culture. So there are a lot of community building initiatives, mentoring schemes, and there is always the opportunity of engagement with others. So I think that in this perspective, I think Imperial is doing well. What probably the only thing need to be changed is maybe the parallelism that we talk about, give gain. So I think the two things need to be completely separated, and because it's more a metric of how you measure your success that probably need to be revised also in the college level. As a young PI, what challenges me every day is the comparison with someone else. It is more established, and to be honest, there is no comparison because it's a completely different career stages. So I think that this gain, can be can be misleading and not always can lead to the results that we really want to see. But yeah, I think that in Imperial, that if you want an opportunity of support or interact, there is plenty. And the podcast is an evidence of that.
Thank you. Well, I think that's a really nice sort of positive message to end on. I'd like to thank you again for being part of the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation again.